Have you ever felt an inexplicable discomfort around someone, even though that person seems friendly? As if, behind their kind words, there's something more. A subtle tension, a look that doesn't match their smile. Sometimes, hostility doesn't show openly. It hides in the shadows, disguised as courtesy. Carl Jung left us one of the most powerful tools to understand this phenomenon, the shadow theory. That hidden part of our psyche where we bury everything we don't want to admit about ourselves. Grudges, envy, repressed desires. And when someone doesn't face their own shadow, it projects onto others, disguised as ambiguous attitudes, acidic comments, and subtle gestures of contempt. In this video, we'll explore 8 signs that might reveal someone close to you isn't as friendly as they seem. It's not about paranoia or seeing enemies everywhere, but about learning to read those hidden signals that our intuition already perceives. But before we continue, tell me in the comments, have you ever felt that someone treats you well on the surface, but something in their energy makes you doubt their sincerity? Share your experience. Now, let's dive into the first sign. Contempt. Disguised as irony, sarcasm can be fun, until it isn't. When someone constantly makes jokes at your expense and when you show discomfort responds with a, "It's just a joke," and you might be facing hidden hostility. Jung taught us that repressed aggression often seeks indirect ways to manifest. People who can't express their resentment consciously may resort to sarcasm as a release mechanism. Each biting comment, each disguised mockery can be a small, unconscious revenge. Imagine sharing a new project you're excited about, and someone responds with a smirk. "Wow, I didn't know you had so much free time." The phrase itself isn't a direct attack, but it leaves a sting. It's a blow disguised as lightheartedness, disguised sabotage. Sometimes, the enemy isn't outside but within the closest circle. Malicious advice, an accidental mistake at a crucial moment, a careless act that seems casual but comes at the worst time. Jung described how the shadow also acts in repressed envy. Someone frustrated with their own life might unconsciously try to block someone else's success. It's not always intentional, but the result is the same. Failures that shouldn't have happened. Think about that time you needed a little push, and instead of support, someone gave you advice that ended up hurting you. Or when you depended on someone's help, and for some unexpected reason, that help never came. Coincidence? Maybe not. Silent competition. We all know someone who can't stand others shining brighter than them. It could be a friend, a family member, or a colleague who, instead of celebrating your successes, minimizes or diverts the conversation back to themselves. Jung speaks of the internal struggle between the ego and the shadow. For some people, seeing someone else advance reminds them of what they haven't achieved. Instead of facing that feeling, they project it into a subtle competition, where every external achievement becomes a threat. Classic example. You share that you've made a significant career advancement, and instead of congratulating you, someone responds, "Oh, well, I was about to do something similar, but it really wasn't a big deal." It's not a congratulation. It's an attempt to equalize or diminish your success. Superficial support. Not everyone around you wants to see you succeed. Sometimes, someone might pretend to support you, but if you pay attention, their energy says otherwise. Here, the concept
of emotional incongruence comes into play. Someone might say nice words, but if their tone is cold, if they avoid eye contact, if they quickly change the subject, their support isn't real. Jung explained that the human psyche always leaves
traces of the truth, even when trying to hide it. Imagine sharing great news, and someone responds with a dry, "That's great," without emotion or a smile that disappears in seconds. It's not what they say, but how they say it. We'll pause here. But this is just the beginning. In the next part, we'll explore other even more subtle and powerful signs that could reveal hidden feelings in those around you. If any of these signs resonated with you, tell me in the comments which one you think you've experienced in your life. And if you want to keep exploring how deep psychology helps us better understand human relationships, don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell. Now, let's continue. So far, we've explored how hidden hostility can disguise itself as sarcasm, sabotage, and silent competition. But the human shadow doesn't stop there. It manifests on the emotional plane, in the way some people make us feel small, insignificant, or even guilty without us realizing their true purpose. Today, we'll delve into 3 more signs that can reveal if someone close to you secretly hates you, even if their mask remains intact. Sign 4. Superficial support. Present in body, absent in emotion. Imagine achieving an important milestone. It could be a promotion at work, a personal goal accomplished, or even happy news in your life. You share it with someone you trust, and their reaction is cold, distant, almost mechanical. That's great, without emotion, a forced smile, an immediate change of topic. When someone feels uncomfortable with your success, they may feign support, but their non-verbal language betrays them. Deep down, their shadow is active, making them feel resentment for what you've achieved. Example: you manage to buy your first house, and a friend responds with, "Oh, that's nice." Although the real estate market is terrible, you share that you got promoted, and a coworker says, "Well, now you'll have more responsibilities." I don't know if that's such a good thing. You find an incredible partner, and someone warns you, "Be careful." Sometimes these things don't last. These comments may seem harmless, but they actually reflect an emotional disconnect. When someone doesn't rejoice with you, when their support is only superficial, it's because there's a shadow of resentment hidden within them. But there's something even more dangerous. When hostility hides not just in indifference, but in control disguised as concern. Sign 5. Control disguised as concern. Sometimes, the desire to dominate another person doesn't present as an order, but as a warning for your own good. People who constantly criticize you, try to influence all your decisions, and always seem to know what's best for you. But behind that apparent concern lies an attempt at control. Example: I don't think that job is good for you. You might fail. That relationship doesn't look very promising. You should think it through before continuing. If I were you, I wouldn't take that risk. I don't want you to regret it later. This isn't help. It's a covert form of manipulation. Carl Jung would say this attitude stems from the fear of losing control over others. People who haven't integrated their own shadow need to control others to avoid facing their own insecurities. But the damage doesn't stop there. Because when control doesn't work, some people resort to an even more toxic strategy, destroying your image through rumors and hidden criticism. Sign 6. Spreading criticisms and gossip. When someone can't confront you directly, they seek to destroy your image from the shadows. Rumors, criticisms behind your back, malicious comments that don't reach you but affect how others perceive you. These are forms of passive aggression that can reveal hidden hatred. Example: a friend who never tells you what they think of you but shares concerns about your decisions with others. A coworker who pretends to support you in person but questions your abilities when talking to the boss. A family member who smiles with you but sows doubts in others about your character or intentions. Carl Jung would tell us that these people project their own dissatisfaction onto others. They can't face their internal shadows, so they project them onto those around them, attacking indirectly. Now that we've explored these signs, I want to ask you, have you ever felt that someone close to you acts coldly, but you can't explain why? Join us in the next part, where we'll reveal the most subtle signs of hidden hostility, those that the body expresses, even when words try to hide it. So far, we've explored how hidden hostility can manifest through irony, sabotage, silent competition, and superficial support. We've also seen how some people disguise their desire for control under a mask of concern, and how hidden rumors and criticisms can be dangerous weapons of the shadow. But what happens when words are no longer enough to hide the truth? The human body is a mirror of the unconscious. Even if someone tries to conceal their true feelings, their body language will always leave traces of their hidden hostility. Today, we'll explore how the body betrays those who secretly despise you. Sign 7. Lack of joy for your victories. Imagine sharing great news with someone close to you. You expect enthusiasm, a genuine smile, sincere words of congratulations. But instead, you receive a cold reaction, or a forced celebration, or even worse, an attempt to minimize your achievement. Example, I got promoted at work. Response, oh, well, it was the least they could do after all this time. I won an award. Response, well, with so many participants, someone had to win it. I'm getting married. Response, I hope you know what you're doing. The problem here isn't the lack of supportive words. It's the absence of emotion in the response. Carl Jung tells us that the shadow manifests in what we repress. And when someone can't feel genuine joy for your achievements, it's because their own unconscious betrays them. Their envy or resentment is so deep that they can't even fake happiness for you. And if you look closely, you'll notice that their body language also gives them away. Sign 8. Nonverbal language and hidden details. Words can lie, but the body can't. Micro-expressions, involuntary gestures, muscle tension. All these reveal what a person truly feels. Some physical signs of hidden hostility include forced smiles. The lips stretch, but the eyes show no emotion. Fleeting glances. They avoid eye contact or, conversely, maintain it too long, as if trying to intimidate you. Tension in the face and neck. The jaw or forehead muscles tighten. Rigid body. They cross their arms or lean their bodies slightly back, creating an unconscious distance. Example. You give someone happy news and you see them smile, but their jaw is tense. Their eyes don't reflect joy. Their expression disappears in seconds. You say goodbye to someone who pretends to be okay with you, but when they shake your hand, you notice they let go quickly, or their skin is colder than usual. The unconscious expresses itself through the body. And if you learn to read these signs, you'll never be fooled by nice words with hidden intentions again. Now tell me, have you ever felt that someone said they were okay with you, but their body language told you otherwise? Now that we know how to identify hidden hostility through verbal and nonverbal language, a more important question arises. How does being around people who secretly despise us affect us psychologically? Carl Jung taught us that whatever we do, not make conscious, will eventually manifest in our lives as fate. In other words, if we are not conscious of the energy around us, we risk absorbing it and allowing it to consume us from within. Today, we'll explore how the hidden hostility of others can affect us psychologically and emotionally. And most importantly, how to protect ourselves from it. The effect of hidden hostility on your psyche. When someone close to you hides their resentment behind a mask of friendship, their negative energy begins to seep into your life in subtle but dangerous ways. Here are some psychological effects you might experience if you don't identify these types of relationships in time. Constant self-doubt. When someone disguises their disdain with ironic comments or constructive criticisms, you may start questioning your own decisions, and your self-esteem weakens. Emotional exhaustion. Toxic relationships drain your energy. Spending time with someone who secretly envies you or sabotages your efforts without your knowledge can leave you feeling drained for no apparent reason. Anxiety and paranoia. When you detect signs of hidden hostility but can't confirm them, you may become hyper-alert. You start overanalyzing every gesture, word, and interaction, which can lead to chronic anxiety. Unconscious self-sabotage. Jung explained that the shadow exists not only in others, but also within us. If you allow the negativity of others to affect you, you might start acting against your own growth without realizing it. The problem is that we often resist accepting that someone close to us might wish for our failure. Our own unconscious protects us from the truth because accepting it would mean facing a painful reality, but ignoring it won't make it disappear. How to protect yourself from the negative energy of hidden hostility. Now that you know how to identify these signs and how they can affect you, it's time to discuss strategies to protect your mind and energy. Learn to trust your intuition. If you feel something isn't right in a relationship, trust that feeling. Intuition is the voice of the unconscious and often detects signals that the rational mind cannot see. Maintain emotional distance. You don't need to cut these people off immediately, but you should establish clear boundaries. Don't share important personal information with someone you suspect harbors hidden hostility toward you. Surround yourself with genuine people. Seek out people who genuinely celebrate your victories and support you unconditionally. Jung spoke of the importance of integrating the shadow, but also of surrounding ourselves with those who help us in our individuation process. Don't seek their approval. Remember that someone who hides their resentment will never give you the recognition you seek. If you wait for them to change, you'll only exhaust yourself further. Focus on your own growth. The best way to counteract the negativity of others is to strengthen your own path. Work on your self-awareness, emotional independence, and personal evolution. Use the power of silence. You don't need to confront these people. Often, simply ignoring their hostility and not giving them power over your emotions is the best way to disarm them. We've come a long way. From understanding what hidden hostility is and how it manifests in those close to us, to recognizing its impact on our psyche and ways to protect ourselves from it. But something is still missing. Carl Jung taught us that true transformation occurs when we face our shadow instead of running from it. And in this case, we're not just talking about the shadow of others, but also our own. Because if we want to free ourselves from the influence of these negative energies, we need to do more than just identify and distance ourselves from them. We need to learn to use them to our advantage. What others' hostility reveals about you? Why do people who envy or secretly despise us affect us so much? The answer isn't always in them, but in us. If someone manages to sow insecurity in you with their irony, disguised sabotage, or indifference to your achievements, it's because somewhere in your unconscious, there's a doubt about your own worth. If someone's hidden contempt deeply disturbs you, it's because in some way, a part of you fears it might be true. Jung explained that the shadow isn't just the negative in us, it's also what we don't want to see about ourselves. And here comes the hardest part. If you constantly attract people who hide their hostility behind a mask, there might be something within you that needs to learn from that experience. Not because you deserve it, but because life is showing you an opportunity to grow. How to use hidden hostility to strengthen yourself. When you understand this, you can transform hidden hostility into a tool for personal development. Here are some ways to do it. Reflect on what affects you. What comments or attitudes from these people manage to throw you off center? Why do they hurt? What part of you still doubts your own worth? Use others' envy as a reflection of your success. People don't envy what has no value. If someone close to you tries to minimize your achievements or act indifferently, take it as a sign that you're advancing. Integrate your own shadow. Have you ever felt envy or resentment toward someone? Have you ever pretended to be happy for someone? When deep down you felt the opposite, we're not immune to the shadow. Accepting that we all, at some point, have felt these emotions makes us more conscious and helps us manage them healthily. Practice strategic indifference. Nothing disarms someone trying to affect you more than your indifference. Don't react emotionally to their hidden hostility. Show that their energy has no power over you. Transform negative energy into motivation. Every time someone tries to sabotage or minimize you, use it as fuel to keep growing. The best response to hidden hostility isn't confrontation, It's success. Conclusion: the true power is within you. When you understand how the shadow works in you and others, you stop being a victim of external negative energies. You stop seeking approval where there is none. You stop feeling bad when someone close to you minimizes your achievements. And most importantly, you free yourself from the weight of hidden hostility and become unbreakable. Now tell me, what have you learned about yourself after watching this video? Leave it in the comments. I want to know your experience and how you've handled these situations in your life. If this content has made you reflect, subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell to continue exploring the mysteries of the human mind from Carl Jung's perspective. In our next video, we'll delve deeper into deep psychology, the unconscious, and the hidden dynamics in our relationships. See you soon.